Hi, and welcome to this quick tool review. This time around we'll be looking at a tool sent to me for evaluation from BangGood, and it is a 90-degree Machinist square, and its dimensions are 250 by 160 millimeters. Their going price $23.99 at the time when I picked out what I was interested in. It comes in a wooden box. It's not a particularly well-made wooden box, but they did make an attempt. There's sort of a haphazard piece of foam glued randomly inside, but it looks like it arrived in nice shape, and it is in a bag, came in a bag, so protected from the elements, and is oiled, as you can see in there. And it's two pieces that have been pinned together. So what's really important for something like a square is, how square is it? So we're going to go over to the surface plate and see if that's the case. And if it is, that's really what it comes down to, how important, one of the most important features, probably the most important feature. Secondly, is it hardened steel like they claim? And I'm going to try and find a spot where I can just scratch a little bit and find out how hard this is. And if it is, then it's a great deal, because we all know what a sterret of the equivalent size would cost. A whole lot more. So we'll check it out. Let's go to the surface plate next and see how square this guy is. So to set up my indicator, we have the Square Master on the left here that I won in an auction from a machining company that's closed down. And here we have a granite square, and we will scan down the square, and this is a tenths indicator, and you can see that we're pretty much square all the way from top to bottom. This is a 12-inch square. So next up, let's bring the other square over and see how it performs. So one thing I did notice cleaning off the goop off here, which there still is some left, is the fit and finish is not particularly great. You can see that not a lot of care was taken in making sure that the part fit really well in the gap they made for it. It's sort of tight at the bottom with a little chip, but at the top there's gap there and there. Now hopefully they put the whole thing together and then ground it square. We'll find out. I need to clean some more of this goop off. I noticed a little bit more here, and when we're measuring tenths, that's going to matter. Well, for starters, it came with a bunch of burrs on it, which you know, had been dropped at the factory, I'm guessing, and I had to stone those off. But now look at this. The sides and the bottom are not square to each other, which I guess is not a requirement of a square, but it's definitely not a good sign. So I will put this lightly up against it, and we will see how square it is. And it's off by about 1.5 thousandths top to bottom, which probably not a huge deal. Let's try this one more time. Probably not a huge deal if you're not doing precision work, but for anyone doing precision work, this is not going to be acceptable, and I think you've just found your reason why you should get a sterret. Oh, that time was better. The problem is it rocks very easily. When you're dealing with tenths, it's pretty easy to screw up. Yeah, it's 1.5 thousandths top to bottom. So let's go over and see how hard this material is and see if it lives up to what our expectations might be, or at least what they promised. So I got my hardness file set out, and starting with the softest file, it bites on the surface. And I didn't want to go on the reference surfaces, but assuming they hardened this thing as a single piece, that's not a good sign, because this is Rockwell 40 and it's softer than that. So my overall take is that for a machinist, this is not a good value, and I wouldn't bother, because if your reference tools aren't actually a good reference, then they're not going to really help you. So this is off square by 1.5 thousandths over the roughly 10 inches of this length. a little bit less, 9 and change. The side and the bottom are not square to each other, so when I put it up against my granite square, it rocked. The fit and finish is sort of just okay. It came with dings that I had to stone off. Substantial gap here at the end. It's not very hard, so that means it's going to wear as you use it. So for 24 bucks, sure, it's a good deal, but it's not a very useful tool. So at least for a machinist, if you're like setting up a table saw blade, want to make sure it's square to your table, this is probably good enough. In fact, I'm sure it's good enough. But if you're a machinist and you're trying to do precision work, if your tools aren't precision, then you can't do precision work. So for machinists, I give a thumbs down. Some of the other products I've run across have been a lot better. This one was a disappointment. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful. Hope to see you next time.